Why is defense such an important part of national security?
Defense has to be an important part of national security, not only for India, for every country. If you are growing economically, how can you ignore defense? So India has no option but to grow in defense production. Not only in defense production, but in indigenous defense manufacturing.
Can we be 100% self-reliant in today's time, sir?
It may not be 100% that we start making everything in India. Are we meeting the requirement of our armed forces or not? Conventional equipment, it is being made, built in India. We have to move from integrators to inclusive manufacturers. The environment in which a military equipment works is from minus 40 degree and goes to plus 55 degree. The key objective of the industry should be A, to utilize the defense budget. It's as simple as that. BrahMos is one of the example where the collaboration was between India and Russia. And it has been a very successful project. Now we are able to even export BrahMos to some other countries. So if BrahMos can be a success story, so there can be many success stories.
So how's the quality of our defense manufacturing at the moment? Is it worthy to export?
Quality is a very sensitive subject. At times ignored also.
Today, we are honored to have an exceptional guest, Lt Gen RS Reen, who served as the Director General of Quality Assurance for the Indian Armed Forces. With decades of experience in military engineering, quality assurance, and defense technology, General Reen brings an unparalleled perspective on India's defense manufacturing and its modernization. In this conversation, we dive into the importance of Make in India in defense, the role of innovation in research and development, and what it takes to ensure that India's defense machinery is world-class. General Reen also shares his view on India's preparedness for any potential conflicts, his thoughts on the challenges and opportunities in defense manufacturing, and some invaluable advice on integrity for the next generation. Join us as we explore not only the technical side of defense quality assurance, but also the vision and grit needed to safeguard our nation. Without further ado, let's get started. Before we dive into today's conversation, I just wanted to take a quick moment. We looked at our analytics and noticed that 93% of you who watch our videos regularly aren't subscribed yet. If you're enjoying our content and want us to keep going with more insightful conversation, we'd really appreciate if you could take just a second to subscribe. It might seem like a small action, but it goes a long way in helping us grow and bringing even more amazing content your way. Thanks for your support. It means the world to us. Now let's get back to the video. I would switch our conversation from Kashmir to an external topic for our country, which is national security. You were the DG of the DGQA, which is the quality assurance of the defense manufacturing in India. So my first question to you on defense manufacturing is, why is defense such an important part of national security?
Defense has to be an important part of national security, not only for India, for every country. If you are growing economically, how can you ignore defense? And especially with geopolitics of today, what you see in Ukraine, Russia, what you see in the Middle East, the conflict may be coming up in Taiwan, the Asia-Pacific region. How is it that India cannot think about securing its borders and then going maybe as a blue navy? Because we have to secure the India-Pacific, we have to secure the Arabian Sea, the Indian Ocean, and maybe even up to the Red Sea, where we are actually for this counter operations which are happening because of the Houthis over there. So India has no option but to grow in defense production. Not only in defense production, but in indigenous defense manufacturing.
There are a lot of words thrown at us when we speak about indigenous manufacturing, Atmanirbhar Bharat, self-reliance. But what is the essence of these? Can we be 100% self-reliant in today's time, sir? The kind of world we live in.
It may not be 100% that we start making everything in India. But we need to understand that today, defense manufacturing is growing at a rate of about 14%. You don't have to ask me this question. Google and see all the order books of the public sectors are absolutely full. Their shares are doing good. But now the question is, are we meeting the requirement of our armed forces or not? Conventional equipment, it is being made, built in India. New technology, yes, there is a gap. But the most important part is we have to move from integrators to inclusive manufacturers. When I say this is that if you make an aircraft, then the engine has to be made in India, which we are still dependent upon some external source. When I say of a ship, which is maybe a frigate or a destroyer, then the GT, the gas turbine system, has to be made in India. Same goes for the tanks. My engines have to be made in India, whether it is a 760 horsepower engine or a 1000 horsepower engine or a 1500 horsepower engine. And we are moving in that direction. Recently, we have fired a 1500 horsepower engine for the tanks, which has to be miniaturized, which has to be customized to meet the requirements of the future battle tanks. And the light battle tank, that is a Zorawar, which is coming, should have an indigenous power pack, both as far as the engine and as far as the gearbox is concerned, or the complete power pack is concerned. So these things are required very fast to move. And once we acquire all this technology, then we are not only self-reliant, we are also able to export it to other countries. Because today, the importing nations or the exporting nations in defense are very few. Because this is not a technology, or this is not a business of volume. It's a business of numbers. Okay. You may make, say, 200 tanks, 400 tanks, maybe 500 tanks in a year. It's not like cars which are made in 1,000 or lakhs. So therefore, this business is a very selective, restrictive business, which will be only being covered by few industries within the country. And not everybody's business, or everybody cannot enter into defense business.
Yes.
The most important need is the technologies of today. Are we actually making drones? To my, as a DGCO, I see there are about 100 plus companies now making drones. But are they actually making drones? So therefore, for drones, the propellers should be made within the country. The motors should be made within the country. The power packs or the batteries or the lithium-ion battery should be made within the country. Because I was reading a statement today that India will be exporting lithium-ion batteries. So if India in the future is going to export it, then India should be able to meet the requirement of its own defense industry first. So these are something which are very critical. In small arms, we have a collaboration with the Russian, or maybe we are going in for another collaboration with some other country. But then the design, the metallurgy, and the production has to come from within the country. Then only we will be a self-reliant nation.
Got it. So how is the quality of our defense manufacturing at the moment? Is it worthy to export or keep most of us within ourselves?
Quality is a very sensitive subject, at times ignored also. But as being DGQA, first is the quality is what the manufacturer has to inbuilt. And my job as a quality assurer is to check what he claims is there or not. Third, the environment in which a military equipment works is from minus 40 degree, because no other people goes to that border where the armed forces are supposed to be deployed.
Right.
And goes to plus 55 degree, maybe in the western sector where the deserts are there. So if you have an equipment working in these extreme conditions, then the testing of that equipment has to take given equal importance, for which the government of India, especially MOD, has launched a DDI scheme, Defense Infrastructure Scheme, in the northern corridor, which is in the Kanpur-Lucknow belt, and the southern corridor, which is in Coimbatore, for the industry to come up. And about 7 to 8 MOUs have already been signed.
Wow.
We in DGQ also made many labs to come up And most important in that is we have been encouraging industry standard 4.0. And that is how the quality will come in. And when I say industry standard 4.0 is, that is introducing automation in defense manufacturing and introducing an element of AI into it. So that the human element is reduced and the defects go down, the quality of product goes up. And I'll be happy to share with you that in the PM's 100-day program, we have already included 100 products, though I am out as of now, but it can't change. So 100 companies' products have already been listed, which will get automated. So once this automation comes up, that means my production is at par with international production. Once it goes up, that means my ammunition will be export ready. It is happening. But then the quality will be the quality what is available world over. Today I may be supplying subsystems because many of my liabilities are because of the offset clauses. But tomorrow I will be supplier of imaging equipment. Why India should not supply or export a tank or a gun or a weapon system or an electronic warfare system or a communication system or a radar system? All that capability we have today. So this needs to go into a well-established infrastructure within the country, and I'm glad to share with you that it is coming up.
So the defense industry in India is growing for sure, there's no doubt about that. But what, according to you, should be the key objectives of the industry at the moment? So,
the key objective of the industry should be A, to utilize the defense budget. It's as simple as that. What is my allocation for capital budget? Am I able to spend that capital budget in 1 year or not? And once I have got those orders with me, do I have the capability to build it, produce it and supply it within the currency of the contract? I may claim so that, sir, I will build it on you. Why have the delays when you yourself came forward to accept that order? And nothing will move without quality checks. Because as I said, in DGQ, we are responsible for the quality checks of the products which goes to the armed forces, because Navy and Army was with us. So we are responsible for that part of the quality. Now the problem comes when you import something and you do not produce it for quality checks. So that is where sometimes the gaps come in. So these gaps have to be filled in by the industry.
First is utilization of the budget.
The budget with what has been given to you.
Okay.
So once you know this is available to me, I will build up my industry.
What would be the next objective, sir?
Next objective, which is very, very important, is the technology, innovation and the R&D build-up. We have an IDEX projects coming up, which the MOD is sponsoring and giving about 75% as a cash incentive to them. There is Make 1, Make 2 projects which are coming up. But R&D today was DRDO centric. Private sector has been claiming, sir, they are able to do quite a bit. But private sector, for which the responsibility should rest with FICCI SIDM, which is a subset of FICCI, as the Society for Defence Manufacture, come up with technology centers or the R&D centers or innovation centers, maybe in the northern part of the country, in the western part of the country, in the southern part of the country, and then see what is to be adopted as a stage 2 requirement for modernization of the armed forces. Today we all talk of cutting edge technology, what is available. But India has to be a country which has to develop a technology and give it to the world. We have the brain to do it. We need the resources to do it. And this can only come with collaboration with the industry and with the support of the government, which government is doing. IDEX, government is pumping a lot of money. But projects are coming at a very smaller level. And these are all subsystems which have to be integrated into the main system. So this whole integration process has to take place. The fourth objective for this is making of standards, which is the responsibility partly of the DGQ, of the service headquarters and other stakeholders. So in last 1 year plus, we created about 150 plus standards, which are now available within the country. The procedures, how we have to adopt is absolutely aligned how the industry works or how the global practices are, of which industry standard 4.0 is one part of it. So this we are all integrating and we have published it all. This is for the industry to understand, pick it up and see how best they can do and have their compliances to the standards. And one of them is GSS Penta 5, which is there for the applications for environmental requirements. So you cannot claim that the quality is harsh on you. All you have to do is build reliability to prove that you are meeting all the requirements, and for which we have been very liberal in saying take self-certification. Do your own quality work, but first come to that level and do it, and then do it. Government has been very encouraging in this. A lot of reforms has been done. The RM himself has done the complete reform for the complete QA setup, which we did in last 1 year. The current Defense Secretary has worked a lot in this field to make things happen. So there's a lot for the industry to take.
Right.
And when I say it's a lot for the industry to take, it's a lot for the industry to export actually, which is a big potential. With the conflicts happening all around the world, it is time to earn, it's time to make.
Right.
And give to your own requirement of the own armed forces and also to export.
What about international collaborations? Because we sometimes were quite reliable. We were quite reliant on Russia, US, and Israel, states like Israel as well. So how can we improve our collaborations with them, which that they would import from us as well?
The first thing is why I'm collaborating, because I don't have a technology. Where will I go for collaboration? Where the best technology is available. Today, my reliable partner in the technology or in TOT or in license production was Russia. Now from Russia, we have our technical collaboration to a very large extent with the Israeli companies, because Israel has got technology. And we also have with the US now, with a lot of product coming in, with the drones coming in, or altitude drones, which are armed drones coming in, or maybe even the futuristic BMPs coming in. Therefore, the collaboration should be that I start making these products in India, along with its subsystems. And as I see, the focus should be on critical technologies. If you are importing a night vision devices, then your focus should be on the what you call as the charge coupled tube, or the other technologies which are restricted. So there, the government has to pitch in, set up those niche technologies, and collaboration. No country in defense will move without collaboration. And you have to be a collaborating partner, not only to meet your requirements. They have to come in and use your resources for export to other places. True. Maybe even back to their own country.
True.
Whether you start making Rafale today, tomorrow in India, or we start making the other series of aircraft in India, it has to come. It is already coming. The part of the Boeing, whether it is for commercial application or for military application, has already started happening by Tatas in India. So it is a very important factor, and it will continue to remain so.
We've been seeing positive collaborations in terms of our BrahMos supersonic missile as well. There have been massive orders.
BrahMos is one of the example where the collaboration was between India and Russia. And it has been a very successful project. Now we are able to even export BrahMos to some other countries. So if BrahMos can be a success story, so there can be many success stories. But then when I make BrahMos, I should have the integrated technology knowledge to first meet my own requirements, and then maybe export it to other countries. But I should not be denied the technology, or that technology should not be restricted, which I have to be dependent upon somebody.
What are your thoughts on the US's power in this defense sector, sir? They have a massive lobbying in terms of the manufacturing industry. What are your thoughts on that?
The American manufacturing industry in India is in some sectors, and some niche sectors which are like aviation or drones, they are coming in, and we should collaborate with them. maybe even in the shipbuilding and gas turbines, which we are dependent upon maybe France or maybe Germany or maybe Sweden for some particular part of the technology. But yes, if a technology is available to me and they're ready to share with me, they can be part of our collaboration. And then that system can move forward and could be mutually beneficial to both the countries. Because America is also looking for logistics support, because their expansion or their the area or the cover is actually all global.
Entire globe.
So for they just cannot ignore India, and they should not ignore India. So India becomes a big logistic support for them. That is why the RM was there, and we have signed 2 deals with them,
Yes.
which are there. You can yourself read it and see
The SOSA and
the other deal which was there. So that is how they become an important strategic partner with us. Not only in technology, but in other collaborations, in other fields.
You said technology is an important part of defense manufacturing. What is the importance of a chip and a semiconductor in today's technology, sir?
That has been one of the weak areas as far as the nation is concerned. Chip making or electronic manufacturing, the dependency has been very large on export. A lot of things are coming up that semiconductors will be made in India. The collaboration is going with a company in Taiwan or in America. But the time has come that this technology, whether indigenous or in a collaborative mode, has to come up, because the application is not only in defense. The application is all across, whether it is defense sector or it is your domestic sector or it is your the other appliances where you are using. This is everywhere. Now, when you talk about the chip manufacturing, the most critical part of it is the wafer, for which an important ingredient other than is the water. So why waste water which goes to some other country? Use that water. If China is thinking on those lines, why am I wasting this huge resource of the water which is there in J&K? Use it for chip manufacturing. Set up those plants there and make those wafers and chips, because these are fabs. These are not very big industries which require huge capacity or huge land. It can come up. If Taiwan can do it, Singapore can do it. So in India, it's possible anywhere where you have the good quality of water, especially for wafers, wafer technology. So this is one critical important part which the country has to move very fast, because the integration now is into each and every equipment.
And that would come from research and development also.
And into every digital system which is now available. Your homes are full of digital systems. They can't be dependent upon, because in last 2 years after the COVID, there was huge backlog in the automobile industry, because the logistic problem, the chips were not available. If the chips were not available, so even with the internal combustion engines, which are now more dependent upon the cards or the chips which are there, which were not available to us, because sourcing is from many other countries.
Right.
How long will you be dependent upon Samsung for chips, or maybe for Japan, or maybe for Texas, or maybe for US or Motorola? You have to develop your own systems, and work is moving in that direction.
There's a massive budget on this budget of 6.21 lakh crore, and which was 12% of the total budget, sir. Is it enough to achieve that Atmanirbharta in defense and self-reliance, according to you?
You may be talking of the budget, which is the total budget.
The total budget, but the budget that you
what I am talking about is the budget which actually is part of the capital budget.
The capital outlay.
So capital outlay will be much smaller than what you have said.
That is 1.72 lakh
so
crore.
1.72 lakh. My only take on it is that I should be able to spend this 1.72 lakhs in that year in which that allocation has been done, so that manufacturing can happen in the yearly cycle, or maybe in a 2-yearly cycle. Then that budget utilization will take place, and then you will assess and see whether you require more or you require less, because a part of it also goes for revenue. That is for sustenance of equipment which is already held with us. That is also maybe about 30% of the total budget which you have on procurement and maintenance. So, seeing my requirement, there could be a need of increasing this budget, because if you see as part of the GDP, it is just about 2 to 3%. It may not be part of the 12% of the whole budget. The only thing is, because it is a budget which comes inward. But once this budget comes and my capacity goes up and I'm able to export, it will be an earning budget. And we will be able to contribute back to the economy.
True.
So this is the cycle how it works.
But the types of warfare is changing as well. So one thing is to invest in our modern equipments and modernization of equipments and manufacturing in-house. But what about the different types of warfare that in today's time, like cyber warfare as well?
So that's what I said. You first invest in R&D, have a separate budget as a national allocation, and developing those technologies, which are the technologies which are related to the security. Cyber security, as you said, it is not a threat to the banking sector. Is this not a threat to the power sector? Is it not a threat to the railway sector? So this has to be inclusively built in as part of your cyber security plan, or as part of your space plan, from which the defense is an offshoot. So this is a national project which has to be taken with special allocation of budget, and all stakeholders have to work together to build it. Not that the work is not happening, it is happening. But it has to be integrated and given a shape. So these are the technologies which will shape the tomorrow's warfare. Whether you take it of AI, whether you talk of cyber, whether you talk of space, all this will get integrated, or network-centric warfare.
So just for viewers, out of these 6 different sectors of equipments that is needed for in defense manufacturing, that is aircraft and aviation, naval systems, missile systems, armored vehicles and tanks, small arms and light weapons, and drones and UAVs. What is our strength as a country, and what is something that we need to work harder on?
Today, in the country, we have the capability and infrastructure to make all what you said. But there are few critical subsystems, technologies, maybe electronic part of it, or maybe the engine part of it, maybe the optoelectronics part of it, or the other digital peripherals which are required, which we are acquiring. So this is what is the technology gap which we have to meet. And once we meet it, then we become an absolutely Atmanirbhar and an exporting nation.
It all comes down to research and development is what I'm trying to understand.
That is where it has to go. If I have a requirement of 500 particular subsystems, then why I do not have a manufacturing capability? So if I have to do a TOT, then the TOT should be inclusive of buying the technology and manufacturing the technology. And then if that country allows, or that my collaborator allows me, then I should be able to export it.
So you were in the system yourself. Do you see that the public-private partnership is enough to achieve that status?
Public-private partnership is happening. It's an irreversible process. The only thing is, the private industry has to change its mindset from being an integrator to being an actual manufacturer. You can't be importing subsystems and integrating and making a system, because a tank or an aircraft or a ship has to last for 40 years. So if your dependency is on third party, how are you going to maintain after the warranty finishes? So this is what the private sector has to think before they jump into giving an assurance that we will make it.
So last couple of questions. We have been seeing a lot of conflicts around the world, a lot of lessons to be learned for us, for national security as well. What do we learn from these conflicts in Russia, Ukraine, or even Taiwan, which is looming, in Gaza, Israel, in terms of manufacturing in defense? What do we learn from these conflicts?
These conflicts have given you two important things. A, the agent technology. Second, the logistics. Because this has been a big nightmare for not only for these countries where the conflicts are there, but it has affected the entire world. Third is, for me to see my western and the northern flank, how I am poised to move my forces see the type of technology which is needed, sync in those technologies with the current requirements of today. Am I able to achieve it? Today, if you ask me, why should I lose a man in a silly operation like counterinsurgency ops? I should be able to detect it, identify it, and then isolate it, not run after that man to either kill him or get killed. So these are the type of technology. I don't have to go to Ukraine to learn it. They are available to me within the country to see it.
Well said.
And to me, the China is an open front for me. The POK is an open front for me. So this is where I have my complete institutional knowledge available to me to develop it. And what they teach us is the long-term capacity build-up or the infrastructure build-up which is needed for a long-term war. Because even the Israelis may not have predicted that war with Hamas will cross 8 to 9 months. So for 8 to 9 months, your industry has to sustain.
It's about sustaining.
And it is sustaining. Same goes for Ukraine, because the West is supporting it. The Russians have it. So tomorrow, if we have a long-term war, then we need to do capacity augmentation. And for that, also, the work is going on. That the capacities have to be built up. But again, when you don't have a war, where do you store it? So a balance has to be made between the two.
My final question is, since you mentioned China, are we ready for a two-front war? We're doing a lot in defense. We are doing theorization, integrating the defense forces. We are amping up our production. We are doing all the things in the right direction, but are we doing enough to be ready for a two-front war with Pakistan and China? China, who is 4 to 5 times larger in terms of every aspect in defense, and even Pakistan in terms of the nuclear capabilities. Are we ready for a two-front war with Pakistan and China?
Firstly, as being part of the defense and speaking to somebody who is from within the nation, never be afraid of any country of what its magnitude or how big its force or how large or small it is. Hamas is fighting Israel, and Ukraine is fighting Russia.
Absolutely.
So whether it is two front or three front, that mindset should go.
Wow.
There are two fronts which are already there. When they come or there is a conflict, do I have an option?
No.
So better be prepared for it. That is one part of it. And second, I do not know why do we create China as a monster. Third, it's a mountain warfare in the north or the northeast. Chinese may be 3 times, 4 times bigger to me, but I can assure you, with the capability which we have, I don't think China will ever do that misadventure. And even if they do it, we as a nation have the capability to defend ourselves, and which we should do it. So, but capacity build up, infrastructure build up, building up the roads, connectivity is a national requirement.
It should be there anyway.
Very rightly, the Prime Minister had said that borders are not the last village, they are the first village.
Yes.
You integrate from that side, whether it is from the Chinese border or it is from the Uri or from the Kopawada sector, that area needs to be developed first. Then that process of development closes that chapter of conflict also. And India has to be militarily strong if it has to become a 5 trillion economy or a 10 trillion economy or whatever we have been saying in terms of our reserves and our outreach. And the world will also not let us move. Every country will try to play its own politics.
True.
But we are a nation of 1.4 billion people. So that element of scare should never be in your heart that China will come in. We are more than them today in population.
Wow.
फिर डर किस बात का?
What a perspective, sir. I've never heard such a perspective from any of the conversation I've had, and I respect that perspective as well, sir.
Thank you so much.
Sir, lovely conversation. Before we end this conversation, I've got 2 personal questions for the audience that you would answer, sir. Since this podcast is called Diary of a Publisher, I make sure to ask my guests an important question for me, which is, A particular book that you, sir, would have read earlier in life, you wish you would have read earlier in life. ऐसी कोई किताब जो आपने सोचा ये पहले पढ़नी चाहिए थी, तो would have changed my perspective on life.
No, there's nothing which I would have read and have changed, but there are two good books which I read very recently. That is the lost heritage of India in a country called Pakistan. The two books written by a gentleman by name Mr. Amardeep Singh, who is Singapore based. Mm-hmm. You know, we have lost a huge treasure of our heritage in that country, and that man has documented it all and brought the gurdwaras which we lost, the temples which we lost, or the other important archaeological sites which we lost. Not only that, it is templated to the revenue records and to the sites, which is a part of the history. Even if it is destroyed in the other side of the border, it is now in books and intact. Not only me, but every Indian should read it. It is in 2 volumes. See what we lost. See what a great heritage we had. The amount of resources which we had. It's not only the human migration which took place, but what has been left over there as a part of our legacy.
The energy also.
And the energy which is there. So these are 2 books which was a great research done by that person.
Wow.
Which he has single-handedly done. Visited about 8 to 9 countries to identify not only what we lost here and in other places where our gurus or the spiritual leaders have gone and done, which includes even his journey to Iran, to Saudi Arabia, to Central Asia, to Iran, to China. He has all composed it into a one tapestry of Guru Nanak and released a documentary which is now even available on YouTube. Mm-hmm. And this I recommend the people should see and see what history India had and what India has given to the world. It is not the Confucian who came from China and took something and went back to China. It are the others who from India went to the other part of the world.
Absolutely, sir. So India has always been a cultural hub.
Cultural hub. So that has to be propagated.
And we have so much to show with our soft power, so we should continue doing that.
So that is what the soft media or the podcasters or the other media which has now come up or the social media has to give. And that's why I'm sitting with you.
Yes, sir.
And giving this type my side of the story.
The last personal question is, sir, you've had an illustrious career in the Indian Armed Force for 37 to 40 years. What is one piece of advice you would give to your younger self, someone who looks up to you and wants a similar life that you have lived? A piece of advice for them.
My single piece of advice is, please focus on the job or profession in which you are. Excel in that. Be a professional in that. And be what is called as a subject matter expert. If each one of you, right from your younger career days to your last stage, wherever you reach, you develop it, you will automatically contribute something for the country. The next important thing is, everything can be taught. Your skills will come in, you will be taught. 2 important things are honesty and integrity. It's a God's gift. Please be on the right side of it. Then only you will be professionally respected and accepted by the society. So this is my appeal to not only the youngsters with whom I work around to work, but it is for the entire society.
Integrity and honesty is something that army also instills within you.
We've instilled it, but it cannot be taught.
It cannot be taught.
So it is something which is inbuilt and it should come out. You should stand up and say no where it is required to say no. Wow. You can't be a yes man all the time, because yes man is the most dangerous man. It's Absolutely. Not my statement, it's a statement of General Manik Shah.
Sir Manik Shah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, sir. What a brilliant conversation I've had with you, sir. We covered Kashmir, which I learned so much about, insights and the solutions that you give, and then we spoke about the indigenous manufacturing of defense in India. Thank you so much for this beautiful conversation. I took a lot of insights, and I'm sure the audience did as well, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me here and giving me that time and space to speak to you.
What a pleasure.
Thank you.
We at TOAP are working really hard to take this podcast to the next level. Our guests are going to get even better, our production quality is going to get even better, and hopefully, I'm going to get even better too. Most importantly, we are committed to being consistent and continue to do what we love the most. Until then, keep reimagining yourself and know that the power of change lies within you. Jai Hind.